good? You rocking with your boy TheCzarr, all rights reserved. All rights reserved, the movement. What we're going to discuss real quick is about Deidre D. Williams. You know, before I get started, I want to say shout to the individual attempting to extort me. Yes, an individual is attempting to extort me by my personal full name and things, as I've notified the proper individuals that are involved. Another thing is, shout to the cop that got caught trying to solicit young women for favors in order to get them out of trouble doing things. You're not alone, and that'll be out shortly. Trust me. Shout out to CommenterNation, the greatest nation since United Nations. Let's talk about it. XxxTentacion. Here's the thing. I watched the video, and I agree with the woman. There's two things that bother me about this case. Two factors that bother me. Number one, it has to do with the blood spatter in the car. Number two, or the next one, has to do with the fact that when they tell me that these two suspects entered the store, we don't see anyone exiting. There's no video of anyone exiting. Now, we could talk about the different details dealing on entrance, how someone alleged to me that there was some type of hand sign between him and the guy that, the suspect and the guy that was with him. And then they're alleging that, you know, there was no sign of these witnesses inside. That bothers me. But we have no scene of anyone exiting. Matter of fact, the only other video I've seen was him going up the steps with one of the people. So I'm kind of confused on how this makes out in the situation. It's very confusing. You see, that's what I don't truly understand. But, you know, we'll move forward to understand what's going on. Now, here's what I don't get. All of this is occurring how we know it to be occurring. But what we're not seeing is how the outcome fits the scenario, or how it fits what we know to be truthful or what we know to make sense. There's a lot of things not making sense with that. You see, the mess in the car, unless it was a prick, how could he avoid the damage from close range fire? There is nothing. And even if you say a silencer, the hole's still there. The blood still pours out. It's just a silent shot. So there's nothing in my mind that can prevent the damage, that can prevent what we see to be the outcome. None of that. And that's part of what the problem is. That's part of what my understanding is. If I'm wrong, let me know. If you guys have some other vision or perspective on it, let me know that too. Now, this next thing, I don't believe that I've seen any connection between all of these suspects. See, the only connection that I've been able to see was Robert Allen and Deidre D. Williams, and that's because they entered the store together. What other connection does Newsom have to these two? What other connection does Boatwright have to these two? I don't see it. So how could they collude together to make it happen? This is where I believe the mastermind came into town. He knew all four of these men. He or she, whoever you guys want to allege did it, he knew all of these guys, and he put them all in place to interact together in a different way. Also, we see one car pull up. What happened to the factor saying Deidre D. Williams also pulled up in a car to cut him off? I don't see anyone else in the car. This is where the confusion comes in. So, I have a question for the public. If this was not an alleged stage or setup for something to happen in some way or shape or fashion, how do you believe the mastermind interacted in a way to influence these four men? You see, there had to be some prior knowledge in order for his day to go a certain way for these men to sit out there in place, to go inside. Was there actually a call made prior to entering the area? Or whose knowledge were they working off of? Because there's no way they could have worked off of communication just off the two random men that walked inside. We didn't see them on the phone unless they have video for that. And why isn't there video of them exiting? If your video's so authentic and you can show them at the car, getting cut off, guys entering in the front of the store, why aren't you showing who's leaving the store? That's very curious to me. Is it because one of the witnesses claimed he wasn't there and this would show he was there? Was this because you need time to edit the photo, allegedly? See, that's what the questions are. That's where you bring in that to perspective. And here's the thing. Sadly, we're doing what they don't want us to do and what they want us to do. Because they're just looking at what they're going to edit, allegedly, or they're just trying to piece together their counter motion to the things we're asking. So in both ways, it's a good and bad thing. But the problem with everything now is that we realize all of the things that aren't addressed. So being that I understand what's not addressed, you can no longer cover up those things to give us anything. It's going to have to make sense. You see how the game works against them at the same time? See, that's the problem. It works against you. The same wrongs you use to make right or right seem right is going to be the same thing that works against you in the end because of how you produce the information in the beginning. If you rushed the video out and just showed us anything, that actually would have been better because we had less information. But now that I'm knowing all these moving parts of people around them, of thoughts and how they felt, of what actually was going on, of the fact all these women were gravitating around him and avoiding their energy being around certain people in his clique, now I'm fully understanding that there was a bigger motive. Now, what my problem is the fact that the real witnesses that were at other places that claimed and spoke to the news and spoke to other different entities were never even acknowledged. On this witness list, I don't see either the woman or the man. Why is that? Let alone you let the social media witnesses go and let them chit chatter here on social media, but they never stand apparent. And here's what's funny. The more people that I hear saying stop talking about or something like that, you look more guilty to me. Because ultimately, some of you release media that was half butt, and you're mad because you can't think. I know you're dummies. I looked through your content. You're dummies. And I could say, if one thing, I'm an educated man. You guys are dummies. I looked at your content. I don't care how many views you got. You have no longevity in content. That means you can't take one single subject and make different points on it. And that's my problem with the criticizers and the suckers. It's not that I need to even bring it up. It's that, come on, I want criticism from people that are real media, that are really do this, and not just sit here and talk in comments. Onward, what is the conclusion? Because here's my thing. We can doubt people like Zabella and stuff. We can say things about other people speaking around it. But the what if chance they may know something is why we shouldn't. The what if chance that they actually have a point to prove is why we should fall back from it. It's about the what if, guys. It's about the alleged activity. It's not about we know this for fact. And we don't have to know it for fact. But you see how since the beginning it worked on what if, and many different answers have gravitated to fruition, even if they said nothing. You've seen the case progress behind the scenes, even if they said nothing, because they're not dummies. They know what we did to the game. They know what we brought to the subject. And that's to say this. If the alleged idea of something being staged or set up does not develop, do not be alarmed. Why do I say that? Is because of this. It is obvious to me there are greater entities and greater structures at work here because of how the information was produced, because of the different people hopping in and out, because of the different attacks that are occurring to me, the extortion happening, different people who are directly connected to going in the law places, but then wanting to come out and throw shots. I see it. And I don't fully understand it myself because of how I foreseen it occurring and the different things that I have. But here's what I do know. That the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. And when lies are introduced to certain situations and looking at information, you got to lie to keep the lie going. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's why I put myself out there for y'all. You can reach me at capital ALL, capital CZARR. You can reach me on Twitter. If you have any information, hit me up. We'll discuss it. You know how I rock. All rights reserved.